If you sell anything of any kind, today I want to share with you the one skill that will get you to sell more people and get them to say yes to a higher price. This one skill called offer creation is actually the skill that I used early on in starting my business to get the very first client who came to me who wanted to pay me a couple $100s every few months for some video editing to actually end up saying yes to a $3,200 retainer, meaning they paid me that every single month, and they've been doing so for the last 9 months. And like I said, this skill is offer creation. If I haven't been able to meet you before, my name is Luke Rels. 9 months ago, I quit my marketing director job at an insurance company and started my own business. And so far in the first 9 months of 2025, I've been able to do just shy of $70,000, nowhere near where I want to be, but hopefully there's a couple things that I know that I can share with you because many of you may be in a similar position as me. Maybe you have a business or you want to start something and you're like, okay, how do I get more people to say yes to whatever it is I'm selling? And how do I actually charge more for whatever it is that I'm selling so I can make more money and help more people? So I want to share with you 3 things today around this idea of offer creation. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about with what an offer even is, I'm going to share all of that in just a second. But the 3 things that I want to break down today are these 3 things. Number 1, what is an offer? Number 2, how do we create and actually price an offer? And number 3, my favorite one, how to actually pitch your offer, whether it's on a sales call, a one-to-many sales presentation, or anything like that. I want to share with you all of those different things. So before we jump into number 1 here of what is an offer, I want to share with you my story, like I talked about a little more in depth quickly on how I use this skill of offer creation to get this client who wanted to pay me a couple $100s to start paying me $3,200 instead every single month. But I was basically doing stuff exactly like this, helping the CEO of the insurance company that I worked for grow his personal brand. We were doing a podcast, and so I started learning all about cameras and video and lighting and all this stuff. And eventually we started running ads and creating funnels and doing all that fun type of stuff. But I left the company at the very end of 2024. And luckily at the top of 2025, I started essentially a social media marketing agency. I had no brand, no logo, no bank account set up for it, no LLC filed, anything like that. Right around that time that I left, I had actually secured my first deal with my first client. And I'll actually show you a clip when we get to number 2 or 3 of me closing them and them actually clapping when I showed them the price because of a couple different things that I will walk you through today. But this skill, it just blew my mind how basically somebody at this company, a life insurance company based in Nashville, had reached out to me. I was creating content about marketing, about content creation. And that is a big thing that hopefully you can take away is even if you're not amazing at what you do, just creating content, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever it is, that kind of shows that you are an authority because people's ideas like, okay, why would this person be creating content if they know nothing about what they're creating content about? And so you just kind of show yourself as an authority when you're creating content exactly like this. And so that's what I was doing. I was creating content about content creation, trying to share my journey with other people and help them out. And so I got a call from somebody one day and they just said, hey, a bunch of my friends and I, we work at a life insurance company and we're making some great money and we get to do fun incentive trips and go take the team out on fun excursions and all kinds of awesome things like that. We would love to take some videos and send them to you and have you edit them for us. Would you be down to do that? And they said, hey, we can talk price and all that type of stuff, but we'll pay you a couple $100 to edit some videos. And me having the skill of knowing how to create offers because the ideas that we're always making or taking offers. And if you're not making and giving offers to other people, then they're going to give an offer to you. And so you want to be the one in control of your pricing and what you're going to do for people and not have someone come to you and say, hey, you have this skill, I will pay you X amount for it. You need to be the one that presents them an offer, gets them to say yes, make them an irresistible offer, something that they can't refuse. And when you do it correctly, you can charge a lot of money for it and get quite a few people to say yes to it. So they said they'd pay me a couple $100 to create some videos for them, but this is the key. What I told them is I said, I could do that, but I actually want to serve you even better than you currently desire to be served or that you know that I can serve you. And so I said, hey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you an offer. I don't just want to edit videos for you, but I actually want to come set your entire setup up in Nashville because they had a bunch of equipment that they didn't know what to do with. So I said, hey, I'll actually fly down to Nashville to set up your studio for you. I'll edit for podcasts every single month. I'll do the entire strategy. I will edit short form clips for you. And then I'll actually coach you guys every single month or, every single week on how to create content, how to create hooks, just how to create better content, how to talk on camera exactly like this. And so instead of just editing videos for them, I genuinely wanted to serve them at a way higher level. But I told them straight up, hey, that's actually going to cost a little bit more, really quite a bit more. But they ended up being a-okay with it. And it was only because I had this skill of offer creation. And so let's dive into it, because again, maybe you're hearing offer creation. You're like, what the heck is this dude even talking about? But I just want you to know the backstory of like what I've gone through to learn this and why this is such an important skill, because I truly believe that you can do this same thing and turn clients who only want to pay you a little bit of money into clients who pay you a bit of money every single month potentially. So what is an offer? Number one, what I want to talk about with what is an offer is this idea of improvement offers, improvement versus new opportunity. So let's dive into this idea of improvement offers versus new opportunities. So basically the whole deal with this is that people do not want an improvement offer, which is something that is better, faster, stronger, or anything like that, right? It doesn't matter what it is, but people are buying a product or a service for a transformation or for a result. And if your offer, or if your product or service is basically saying, hey, the refrigerators that we sell are actually better refrigerators than the one you currently have, or fill in the blank with whatever the case is, then you are basically saying, hey, to buy my thing, you have to admit that whatever you currently have isn't good enough, or that you made a mistake in the past with whatever you purchased, because clearly if you're still looking for a solution to the problem that you have, most likely you've tried to buy something, whether it's a program, whether it's an actual product or service, to get this problem solved. And somebody has to admit, if you have an improvement offer, that they actually need your thing, and whatever they purchased in the past didn't get them where they wanted to go. And people are naturally pretty prideful, and they don't want to say, yeah, hey, I messed up and I bought the wrong thing. Please, I need to actually buy your thing. That is not really going to help them, right? But what people do want is a new opportunity. And the way you frame this is saying, hey, I know you might have tried to buy some refrigerators before, but there's actually this new kind of, I don't know why I'm using refrigerator as an example. It's just what's coming to the top of my head. But the idea is that you want to share whatever it is that you are selling is a new opportunity. You want to put somebody in a different, completely different vehicle to get them to where they want to go. Because this is really what this ends up looking like, is like, this is your customer or your prospect, really a wonderful customer with a head that isn't drawn very well. But they basically are here and they are trying to get over here to this result that they want. And they are trying all kinds of different things. Maybe they're trying to buy this thing and then it doesn't really work. And then they go and they try and buy this thing and it doesn't really work. Maybe they go and they go a little further and they try and buy this thing or do this different business model and it doesn't work. And you need to say, hey, I actually have, this is going to be really brutal, but we're going to do our best. I actually have this new vehicle, this new opportunity that is the thing that will get you to where you want to go, because I've actually been there myself, and the product or service or coaching program or what have you that you have to offer can get somebody to the result that they want. And so we want to stay away from improvement offers. We want to create new opportunities. And a big part of a new opportunity is that this is what allows you, I'm getting into number 2 a little bit here, so we will talk about it a little more in just a second, but this is what allows you to charge a good amount of money for whatever it is that you do, because people can't compare you, in my case, to the next video editor, because anybody could have taken a couple $100 to edit videos for the client that came to me, but not everybody would be willing to do all of the different things that I presented to them. And so that is a big part of it. So an offer improvement versus new opportunity, we want to make sure that we're putting people in a new vehicle, we're offering them something new. And with that comes as well a My handwriting's really bad, so sorry guys. Proprietary name. We need a proprietary name for our product, our service, our program, whatever the case is, because again, this is also what differentiates you from anybody else who may be selling something similar, is that the product or service or whatever it is that we have has some kind of special name to it, the blank blank system or whatever it is. For mine, I called mine at first for one of my clients the triple threat content system, where it was like a mix of multiple different things that I was helping them with: podcast, short form, and then something I called a build along series, where they would just be sharing the different things that they were going through and the different things that they were learning. And so again, even if there was somebody else that was trying to sell something similar to what I was selling, they would be a lot more down to purchase from me because I had a proprietary name to my system. It was like I said, the triple threat content system. Not the greatest name in the world, but it's what I had at the time. And so even that frames what I'm selling to them as a new opportunity instead of an improvement offer that, oh, I will edit videos better than somebody else can, because no one really cares about that. They just want the result that they are looking for. And that's why it's also a very big deal that no matter what you are buying or selling, especially if you're taking sales calls or doing different things like that for your business, that you figure out what the end goal is for the customer, whether it's weight loss, whether they want to make more money in their business, whatever the case is, you want to figure out what the end result is that that customer is looking for. Yeah, I love this phrase that the offer that you don't make is the offer that they can't take. The whole reason it's called an offer is because they don't have to buy it, right? But if you don't make the offer to them and put it together for them, there's absolutely no shot that they're going to pay you money. And what's so cool is that you can actually get paid for wanting to spend money on something. You don't go spend the money that you already have on a new car or a nice dinner or buying yourself some kind of new toy or something that you want. You create an offer that will pay for the thing that you want to go buy, and then you actually are able to sell that offer over and over and over again. And so you can actually make money from wanting to spend money on something. And that's what's awesome about an offer as well, is that we create offers according to our creativity, not out of our creativity, but we use our creativity to create an offer. We go and sell it, and we still have the creativity and we still have the offer, and we're able to sell it over and over and over, and people continue to pay every single time for it, whether it's new customers or you have something where it's a monthly retainer and people pay every single month or every single year for it. So we want to create a proprietary name, and we want to make sure that we frame our offer as a new opportunity and not as something that is an improvement offer. Cool. Number 2, how do we actually create and price an offer? So let's go ahead and write this on here. Creation and pricing. Okay. All right. So I want to tell you this story really quick before we get into this. So just actually a couple weeks ago, I spent $25,000 to be in Boise, Idaho for 2 days for an in-person event, learning about offer creation, ads, particularly learning about the challenge model for selling one to many, not necessarily doing a bunch of sales calls to sell your offer, but using a challenge, which is really just like an elongated webinar. And I'll probably do another video sometime here soon, breaking down a challenge model, a webinar model, how you can actually gather a bunch of people and make your offer to them one to many, instead of having to take a bunch of one-on-one sales calls to sell whatever it is that you want to sell. But one thing that I heard at this event that changed everything for me, and I'd heard something similar to it before, but I want to share it with you because it'll help you think through the lens of how do I actually create an offer, is number 1, we want to start with our core product. So maybe right now you're thinking, okay, I already have something that I am selling, and how do I make it into an offer instead of just selling the thing that I have? So whatever it is that you currently are selling or that you would want to sell if you aren't selling something already, that is your core product, which is the number one thing But after that, the whole point of creating an offer is that we want to create what's called an offer stack, where there are multiple things within the entirety of our offer that people get when they purchase our offer. For example, when I sold the life insurance company, like I said, they got coaching, they got short form editing, they got podcast editing, they got the whole strategy. I did like a 3-4 hour strategy session with them to figure everything out like that. But when we go to create our offer, we have our core product. That's the first thing that we offer, but we want to put it inside an offer stack. We're going to talk a little bit more about that during the third point on how we actually pitch that. But the way to think about this is, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the mouse. If you give a mouse a cookie, it's a children's book. So the whole idea of this deal, I don't even know what I'm going to draw for this. I'm kind of scared to draw a mouse, but we are going to do our best. It's just going to look like a person with big ears. Yeah, this is really brutal. I might never draw anything ever again. All right, so that's this is our mouse right here. And in the book, if you give a mouse a cookie, it basically just goes and talks all about how if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to be happy that he's got a cookie, but then he's going to need a glass of milk. That's my wonderful glass of milk right there. And then after that, I don't remember the whole book, to be honest, and what all he needs, but eventually he like needs to take a nap. And so he needs like a pillow and a blanket and some other different things and whatever. But the point of this is that you want to think through your offer as, okay, if I give the person, the people that I'm pitching my offer to, if I give them my core product, which for me, really the core product, I guess, in the way that I did it was the strategy session, right? So it's like, hey, you can get all these videos edited and do a podcast and create content and do all of this stuff. But if you don't have an actual strategy around who your ideal target is, what kind of formats you're going to try, what level of consistency you're going to have with when you're posting and how many times you're posting and all of that type of stuff, if you don't have clarity on that, it doesn't matter that you're just throwing content out there. It's just not really going to work very well for you. And so my core product was actually the strategy session. But then the whole idea is that, okay, if number one, I'm just going to abbreviate this, is the SS, the strategy session, then what are they going to need after they get a strategy session? Okay, if they get a strategy session, then they might need some video or course material on how to actually create videos, because when I created this offer for this life insurance company, I wasn't filming for them, right? I live in Omaha, Nebraska. They were located in Nashville. And so initially I flew down there to help them set up their podcast studio. And that was a bonus in my offer. And then I did the strategy with a couple of the key dudes at the company. But what I also did is I created this whole big Google Drive and had all of our folders in there for them to upload videos to, but I created a bunch of Loom videos teaching them how to write hooks, how to be more natural on camera, how to use ChatGPT to script the content that they were creating. And so I created some video material for them, and they understood how to write out the content, how to film it themselves, how to send it to me, and all of that type of stuff. And now again, with this whole give a mouse a cookie, if you give a mouse a cookie idea, now we think of what is the next thing that they would need, and we add that to our offer. So I had the strategy session, I had some video training material for them, and then after that comes in some of the actual editing. So again, remember at the initial stage, this is all that they wanted, was just, hey, can you edit some videos for us? But the genuine conviction that I had was like, I could do that for you. And this isn't about money, but I'm actually going to ask you for way more money than you're telling me that you should pay me, because I want to serve you guys above and beyond what you even realize that you need. And that's part of our job as marketers, as salespeople, as business owners, is we have to help our potential customers or even our current customers understand that they have a need that's maybe even deeper than they realize. Eugene Schwartz, a legendary advertiser from decades ago, talked about the 5 levels of awareness. And I'm not going to get all into that, but the point is that Some prospects are they're aware that they have a problem. Some people aren't aware that they have a problem at all. Some people are aware that they have a problem, but they're not aware of the solution. Some people are aware they have a problem and of the solution, but not of your solution. And so there's 5 different kind of parts of Eugene Schwartz's 5 levels of awareness that he talks about. And a lot of the times our customers are at a lower level of awareness than we understand. And that kind of shows that needs to be in our heads of how we advertise to them and how we pitch our offers and create our offers and all that type of stuff, right? So they knew that they needed editing, but they didn't really understand that they needed the strategy, that they actually needed some training to create the videos and all that good stuff. And so then again, we have the strategy session, we have the video material, and then we have the editing. And so you ask yourself the question again, okay, if they have this, then what do they need after that? Because the idea with an offer, with a full scale offer and not just offering one product or one service, is that every part of the offer solves a problem for the customer, but it actually unlocks another problem that you solve with the next part of your offer. So you want to ask yourself that question of, okay, if I give them this thing and I include this in my offer, what is the next thing that they would need help solving for? So again, we got strategy session to the video material, to teach them how to do stuff, the editing. And then after, I also had some coaching so they could get better with creating videos, in understanding more about hooks, about framing their videos, about how to talk to camera, all that good type of stuff. And I kind of broke the editing into like short form video and also long form video because they were doing podcasts and all that good stuff. And there might have been 1 or 2 other things on there and some bonuses and all that stuff, right? But the biggest part with this is that when we create an offer, we have multiple things that are in the offer that they're getting, and every new thing that we have in our offer creates and then solves the next problem that they would deal with. So this is part of getting them to say yes and creating an irresistible offer, is that they feel like anything that they could need to get the result or transformation that they're seeking. Remember, because people don't buy things just because, they buy things because they want to, and also because it provides a transformation or a result for them. And us as the business owners, the people making the offers, we need to understand what that result or transformation is and try and kind of create our offer or spin our offer or position our offer in a way that shows them, hey, this thing that I'm offering you can get you where you want to go. And again, when people feel like they have everything that they need to succeed, that's what creates an irresistible offer and something that people cannot say no to, because they say, oh man, I have everything. Whoa, I have everything that I need to solve this problem that I have, right? Cool. Pricing. Let's talk a little bit about pricing. I'm not going to go super, super deep on all of this, but this is the one big thing that I want to talk about for you guys on pricing. So I want to do it like this. Over here, we have like the $300 that this client was going to pay me. And then over here, we have the $3,200 that I actually ended up charging for the offer and for the service. So pricing is a big part, again, of offer creation, of the fact that we are offering them multiple things, but a big hangup that a lot of companies, salespeople have is being compared to the competition. Years and years ago, I actually went door to door and was selling solar for a while. And it was great because it taught me a lot of lessons. Definitely not the industry that I want to be in or that I am in anymore, but I'm really grateful for that season of my life and learning about door-to-door sales, getting told no a heck of a lot, and actually being able to close some deals and make some decent money when everything was said and done. But the thing that I learned with that is that people almost always will price shop you. If you don't have some kind of reason or some kind of way that people can't even price shop you, a lot of people are going to be looking for the cheapest thing, which that's a whole other deal of sometimes you don't even want to be making your stuff in a way where the people who are cheapo, Myron Golden calls them cheapo people, where they just buy things that are cheap. You don't want to position your stuff where you're serving people who just want things that are very cheap, because you're not going to be happy, they're not going to be happy, nobody's going to be happy. But a lot of people will price shop you, because what I learned with solar is that you could get your deal stolen out from under you when you knock on this person's door, you set an appointment, you go back, you sit down with them for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and you close the deal. And then lo and behold, maybe a day or 2 or 3 later, some other dude comes knocking in your hood and decides to knock on this person's door. They're like, hey, sorry, we already talked to a guy a couple days ago and we're going to go solar with their company. And immediately what that guy says and what he tries to do is say, oh no, our company is better. And I bet if you guys give me a shot, I could actually get you the exact same thing for cheaper. And at that point, someone's like, okay, well, if I'm going to get the exact same thing, then why do I really care to go with the guy that first knocked my door, unless they really, really like you, which I've heard stories of things like that. But if it's the same thing, somebody will do it for cheaper, right? If they don't really care about it that much, and it's a commodity, right? A commodity is something that's, it's just a price war to the bottom. You don't want to be in commodity pricing or have an offer that in any way, shape, or form is a commodity, meaning it can be compared to other people. And when we create our own offer with a bunch of different elements in it, that meant that in my case with selling this service of monthly content creation to this life insurance company, no other random video editor could have came to them and said, hey, I'll actually edit videos for you guys for $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month or even cheaper than that, right? Because hopefully the guys that I pitched and locked down the deal with would say, yo, I mean, that would save us some money, but Luke is actually going to coach us and he has video material on how we can actually create the content. And he's going to fly down here to Nashville and set up our entire podcast studio. And then he's creating this many videos for us and editing this many videos and training us every week and all that type of stuff, right? So with pricing, if you want to be able to charge more for what it is that you are selling, then you want to create an offer where, again, this takes you from being able to charge a couple $100 maybe for whatever it is that you have for one thing, for one product or service, to instead being able to charge whatever you want, because you can't be compared to other people by having an actual full offer and pitching it to them in the way of having an actual offer stack, where in a second we'll go through this a little bit more, but you have multiple different things, you show the total value of it, and then you use a couple different things to justify the price that you're gonna sell this thing to. So what a lot of people make the mistake of doing with pricing is they figure out what it costs to maybe acquire a customer, and then they also figure out what it costs, time, money, all that different stuff, to actually fulfill and get them the product or service. And then they just add a little bit to the price and say, okay, I need my profit margin, I need to actually make some money. So if it costs us like $1,000, $1K to acquire the customer and deliver on it, then I will just charge 1.5K for my product or service, so I can make $500 in the process. But that isn't going to help you a whole ton, because the whole idea is that if you don't get a good idea on what the result is actually worth for the customer, then you're going to be priced accordingly to what the market is charging or what industry standard is for it. When I chatted with these guys at the life insurance company, I asked them, hey, what is the point of posting on social media? Why do you guys even want to post on social media? And luckily they had their client acquisition system dialed in, where they were already getting a steady flow of leads from running Facebook ads, and they had that whole system dialed in. So they weren't necessarily looking to make more money in that regard from posting content, but life insurance is really big in recruiting and getting other people to work with and for you. And then you make a little bit of percentage on anybody else that you bring in and all that good type of stuff. And so they said, hey, the result that we're looking for is we actually want more recruits. If I can spell, more recruits. And with that, I asked them, okay, if you guys get more recruits, say we work together for 1 year, if everything goes terribly wrong and we only get 1 or 2 or 3 people working for you guys as a result of the content that we're putting out that you guys are paying me for, how much money would that make you? And I don't remember the exact number that they said, but the point is that it was tens of thousands of dollars that they could potentially make off of people that they could recruit to go work with them and for them. And so that is how I was able to price myself and say, okay, man, this is worth it. Even if you guys pay me and use my services for an entire year and you pay $35,000 to $40,000 for this stuff, if we just get a couple recruits in the game from what we're doing, you guys will easily make all the money back that you are paying me for this. And so again, you want to figure out what the result or transformation is, what that's actually worth to somebody. And again, if somebody's going to make $100,000 off of what you are selling to them and the problem you're solving for them, then you can easily charge 10, 20, 30, 40 grand for that, because the whole deal is it's kind of like Facebook ads. What is your marketing budget if you put $1 into the machine and you get $2 back out every single time? Well, you're going to spend unlimited amounts of money until that machine breaks and it ends up being even, or you're losing money, right? Because even if you're putting $1 in and making $1.10 back out, if you make, if you put $1 million in and you end up with $1,100,000, then you still profited $100,000. Not great margins by any means. But the point is that if you can show that what your offer is going to do for them is going to make them money, against the money that you are charging for it, you can charge a heck of a lot more money for your offer. Number 3, as we finish this up here, is how to actually pitch your offer. So let's come over here and let's just write the pitch. Okay. So we created our offer, we priced our offer, and now we need to know, how do I actually sell my offer to people? It doesn't matter if you're doing a sales calls or a webinar or challenge or some kind of one-to-many sales presentation, whatever the case is, how do we actually pitch our offer? So when we have an offer, it's going to look a little bit like I was doodling out there before. So we're going to have multiple different things included in our offer. Let's just say that there's 5 different things that are included in our offer. And just to make this easy, I'm just going to put letters here. We got A, B, C, D, E. So we got 5 elements to our offer. And basically what we're going to do is create an offer stack. The way that you not only create, but the way that you present your offer to your potential client is a really big deal. And I want to share this and break this down for you. Framing my offer and sharing it with the life insurance company in this way, I'll actually play a clip of it in a second. Guys, the way of doing this, it actually had these guys clapping, literally clapping when I shared with them the price that I was going to charge them for my services because of the offer that I created and the way that I broke it down and then did a price drop and a couple different things that we'll talk about as we close this out here. So actually, I will play that video for you right now so you can see it. So let's check it out. So the total value there with everything is $15,285. And so luckily, I'm not going to charge you guys 15 racks for all of that stuff. I'm only going to charge $5,000 a month, which is a steal considering it's $15,000 for everything, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to charge you $5,000 a month. This is where we wrap it up. I'm not going to charge you $15,000. I'm not going to charge you, $5,000 a month for all this stuff to set up the podcast studio, to do the content strategy for you, to get the short form videos edited, to get the podcast videos edited, to actually post, put the captions on, help you ideate and do everything. I'm not going to charge you even $5,000 a month for all that, because that wouldn't make any sense. You get all of that included for $2,997 a month. And so I got to get out of here. I know we ran a little long on everything, but thank you. Thank you.
Dude, that's a presentation right there.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, isn't that awesome? Do you want people literally clapping when you tell them, hey, this, and this is all the stuff that you're gonna get, all the stuff I'm gonna do for you, and it's gonna cost you $3,000 a month, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month? Do you want people literally clapping and saying, oh my gosh, that is awesome, I totally want that thing? If you do, then tune in here and don't fall asleep on me yet, because the way that we actually pitch or share our offer with people is the key to everything here. So again, we have our 5 different parts of our offer, and what we do is we assign a dollar amount value to every part of our offer. So let's say our core offer is up here, and it doesn't necessarily have to go in an order. It is kind of nice in a way if it starts with your most expensive thing and then you add some other stuff after that. I'll find some pictures even of the different offers that I've pitched to people. I have multiple clients that I work with every single month and people that I've done one-off things for. And so even on the screen here or in a second, I'll just pop up some pictures of some different offers that I've created and how I price them and all that type of stuff, so you guys can get an idea of what that looks like. But let's just say that our core offer is $1,997. And there's a lot of psychology around the number 7. That is helpful. It's better than the number 9. It's better than having an even number of like $2,000. So don't honestly know a ton about that. All I know is that a lot of people that I've learned from, when they're making their offers, they end in 7s, and there is some psychology around that. So just end your prices and your parts of your offers in 7. It works. When you think 7, you think more like lower number instead of the higher number that's only $3 more. It's weird, but it is a thing. So first part of this is 1997, and the goal actually is that the total value, and again, this isn't the actual total cost of what our offer is, but the total value. Okay, it's like you want to have it in a ballpark where if you were to charge for each of these things individually, it would actually cost that much, but it doesn't always have to be like that, right? The point is that we're assigning a dollar value to the thing that it is that we're providing. So for me, at the very beginning, this was, remember the social media, the strategy session. Yes, the social media strategy session. And I think I valued this at 1997, which is funny because at the time I hadn't even done it, but not too long later, just a couple months later, I did end up charging somebody literally $2,000 for just a couple hours of my time to sit down and just answer questions for them. I made them an offer. I charged $2,000 to basically just do a social media consultation. And so that was right in the ballpark truly of what I would charge, even though I hadn't done it at that point yet. But we're assigning a dollar value to each part of the offer so the prospect can understand the value of all the different things that we're doing. If I just said, hey, pay me $3,200 every single month and, I'm going to do social media stuff for you and edit some videos, someone's like, whoa, like, how does that break down? That costs too much. Like, you start getting all these objections when you don't do it this way, when you don't make an offer stack and also do it in a way where you're assigning a dollar value to each part of the offer so your client believes. The goal here is that the total value needs to end up being about 10x whatever you are actually going to charge for it. This is the secret. This is how you get people, like my first client was, literally clapping on the call where I was pitching them on this stuff. Because the way that I made my offer stack, created it, and then positioned it and shared it with them, right? So maybe say if I want to charge $3,000 just once or even per month for my deal, the total value of everything that I have in here ideally would be worth $30,000. And so honestly, my strategy session might have been valued even a little more heavily. And I don't remember what all the exact numbers were. I don't think mine was quite near 10x, but the goal is to get whatever you're offering, the total value of your offer, to be about 10x whatever it is that you're actually charging for it, because then again, you're making an irresistible offer where people can't say no because they understand the total value of what you are sharing with them and what you are pitching to them. And so let's say this is about $2,000. This part of the actual editing video was about $5,000. This one was 5,000. So we got 10, 12. I know for a bonus in here, actually, I had a $10,000 bonus because this was my bonus of literally flying down to Nashville and setting up their entire podcast studio. I know multiple people who charge 15, 20, 25, even more $1,000 to do something like that, where they actually set up somebody's entire podcast studio, dial it all in, share with them or their team on how to do that. So I was honestly decently conservative on that, and I had that as just a bonus. A great tip is that if you have some bonuses in your offer, if your bonus is worth the price of admission or whatever it is that you're actually charging for your offer, that again is a big part of making an irresistible offer, is like whatever you even have as a bonus in your offer is actually worth whatever you are charging for it. And so whatever these other numbers were on here, it was about a 10x value. And as you guys saw in the clip, when I shared everything with them, I think what I did was a little different than, it wasn't quite 10x because mine was a little interesting where it was like a monthly service. And so I think the total value is like $10,000 to $15,000, maybe a bit more. But again, this was something that they were paying for every month. So I wasn't sharing like the total deal. It was a little more like trying to make it a multiple of like, hey, for me to do this every single month for you, this would actually be something that would cost $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And so you're getting it for a steal at 3. And so if we can make it 10x, that is super, super helpful. We have a bonus that's worth the price of admission. We have our offer stack with multiple things in it. And again, the way we pitch it is that every time that we share another part of the offer. So what I did on the presentation is I was like, all right, so first thing that you guys are going to get is a social media consultation basically, or a strategy session. We're going to dive into all these different things. I'll do this in person with you guys and fly down there and blah, 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 blah. All this stuff I'm going to do for you. This is valued at $19.97. And then when I go to share the next part of my offer, which was the video material that actually teaches them how to do all the stuff, how to actually create the content so then we can work with it, I say the first part again. So that means what you're going to get is the social media strategy session, and you're going to get the video material. And then I would add the total value, and it would be at the bottom of the screen afterwards. I'd say, so that means you get part 1 and part 2 for a total combined value of $699,7. Boom. And then when I went to the third part, I said, so that means you're going to get a social media strategy consultation, you're going to get the video material, and you're going to get 4 podcasts edited every single month. Total value, or this just the value of that, $5,000. So then I add them up every single time. So again, the point of this is that the human brain only remembers one of the last things that it was told. That's why if you're sitting there and repeating a phone number or some kind of longer digit code to yourself, or trying to remember an entire phrase or anything of that nature, you can try and sit there and remember it and repeat it over and over and over. But if you give yourself even a little bit of time, like as long of a time as it would take to actually pitch your offer and share stuff with people, they're only going to remember the last thing that you shared, which might be, it might not be like my case. It might be some little dinky bonus at the end that you're just throwing in to add even more stuff to your offer, which is fine. But if you don't share your offer in a way where it's like, hey, you're going to get this and this and this and this and this total value, all of the value numbers added up, boom. If you don't share each part of the offer, and it's kind of like, okay, imagine if I just said, hey, you'll get the strategy session, boom, okay, done. And you will get next slide, and you'll get video material valued at this much, okay, done. And then you'll get this. Like at that point, when I have all the different things in my offer, they're only gonna remember the last thing that I mentioned. And so every time I mention a new element of the offer, I come back to the very beginning, and I say, so that means you're going to get the social media strategy, the video course material, the 30 short form videos edited every single month, the 4 podcasts edited, the weekly coaching, and the bonus of me flying down there and setting up your whole studio. Total value $30,000. So again, I'm helping break down and reinforce the value of what they are getting with the entire offer. And then my favorite part of this that you guys saw in that video is just the price drop. I got to have some fun on that. You don't want to be boring and just slow and like too buttoned up and salesy on your presentation, sales calls, whatever it is that you're doing. I had some fun on this. And so when I showed that the total value of what they were getting was like 15 or 20 grand every month or whatever the case was, maybe even 10 grand, all the different stuff added in there. When I price dropped it, that was super helpful where I just went really quickly kind of into the price and I didn't like do anything all crazy for it, right? I said, total value of X amount of dollars, decent amount of money. And I was like, and you guys can get started today, if I'm not mistaken, for only like $5,000 a month. And this is where I was kind of bonking my head because this was the first offer I ever made, the first client I ever had for my own business. And I genuinely had prayed a lot about what I should charge for this. And that was a really big part of it for me as well. As again, the market can tell you whatever, all that type of stuff. I'm a Christian. I have a personal relationship with Jesus and I love to include him in my business. He truly is the CEO of my business. And I remember him, just blessing me with this opportunity to serve these guys. And, I'm still getting to serve them. And I love these dudes and I love working with them. And it's a great relationship. But I remember praying about what I should price all this at. And I just remember the Lord giving me the final number of about $3,000 a month, $2,997. After some taxes and fees and some different things that were included, it came out to about $3,200. But on the presentation I was sharing with them, it was $2,997 a month. And so after I build all of the value up and then I price drop, I'm like, you guys are going to get it for $5,000 a month. This is what I was saying about, I was kind of bonking my head. Even though I'd prayed about it, that's where I had peace about it. I knew, hey, maybe the deal wouldn't have even got closed if I didn't do it for this amount of money or whatever the case is. I just trusted that, hey, if God gave me this number, this is what I need to charge for it. So this is what I priced it at. And again, a lot of other things that I talked about go into that, but ultimately it doesn't matter what you think or what the industry thinks or what a guru thinks, dude. If you're praying and seeking the Lord on pricing, on fulfillment, on just anything that has to do with your business, I believe that he wants to give you answers and give you clarity as far as all of that stuff goes. And so that's what I did. That was a number I got and that's what I rocked with. And it's worked out very well for me. But it was just funny because I said I did a price drop of like total value of this, but I'm only going to charge you $5,000 a month. And it was like a very bland screen. And like you guys kind of see it on there on the clip from before. And I literally remember the guy who kind of heads the entire thing. There were a couple of them on there that were the key couple beginning dudes at the company who were going to be paying for this. And I remember the guy kind of doing one of these numbers where he went, oh, like, kind of shook his head like, oh, like that's not that bad, honestly. Again, after I built all the value and shared the total value of what it would actually cost and all that type of stuff, right? But it was just funny. I did that 5,000. So then by the time I actually dropped it to 2,997 a month, they literally clapped and they were like, yo, we got to do this. We got to get involved. Yes, we're going to go ahead and do this. And we locked down the deal. And within with just getting one client, I was able to fully replace the income that was coming in from my full-time job. I was not making very much money. So not like it was this big, amazing thing, but that's kind of a rule of thumb. If like you want to jump ship and go all in on your business, you need to at minimum replace the income that you have from whatever job it is that you have. And this one client not only gave me a ton of encouragement that I could actually do this and make this happen. My idea was like, okay, if my employer is willing to pay me for this and somebody else is willing to pay me for this, there's got to be a bunch of other people out there who are willing to pay me for this. But offer creation is the number one skill that you need to make sure that you get paid a fair wage or even in a way an unfair wage for what it seems like the work that you're actually doing. And this is how you can take a client who might want to just pay you a couple $100s to a client who is willing to pay you thousands of dollars when you create an an offer the right way. You know what an offer is, you know how to create and price the offer, and then most importantly, you actually know how to pitch the offer. So this was my very first video where I'm talking about all this type of stuff. And so I want to tighten all this up, make it quite a bit better. And so I was just kind of rolling off the cuff, had a little bit of an outline on what I wanted to share. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys, understanding what an offer is, how to create and price an offer, and then how to actually pitch your offer. In the future, I'll be talking about a bunch of different things about offers, challenges, webinars, ads. I just love marketing and all of that type of stuff. And I have a blast talking about it. And so hopefully this was helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can follow me on Instagram where I share stuff every single day about marketing, offer creation, all of that type of stuff that I'm learning and actively implementing at Luke_Relfs, REELFS. But appreciate you guys for checking out this video. Peace.